stuff just happens, right? And we don't have to be a victim about it. We can say that's life, and acceptance, and let it flow through and kind of surrender. Um, and I like that the acceptance again for building the relationship with self, that trust and acceptance. This is something I'm experiencing. It doesn't define who I am.
I believe that in life we are here to serve a purpose greater than ourselves. But in order to do that the best way, we must start with investing in ourselves. I believe in you, and this channel is going to give you tools to help you overcome your challenges and light your path. Let's start. Hello, Hollie. What an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Amazing, amazing. Well, whoever doesn't know Hollie yet, Hollie does some amazing healing work and a lot of other things that if I'll talk only about that, the whole show would be about how Hollie helps other people. So
thank you.
I really appreciate all the work you do, and whether it's has to do with their journaling, whether it has to do with helping people understand their dreams and heal through them. And I wanted to know, like, to understand more today, talking about the journaling. Personally, I would love to journal. I'll say I'm really bad at it. And every time I start and I stop, I start and stop. So I would love to hear more about that. How do I get into the journaling world in order to create a better relationship with myself? Because I hear from everyone that in order to basically create a stronger relationship with ourselves, journaling is a must. That's what I hear from everyone. Again, I wasn't able
I
to
agree.
get it. So I'd love to hear about that. But before that, please tell people more about you, and that would be amazing.
Okay, great. So I'm Hollie Warnick, and I do love journaling. I journal a lot. I've been journaling since I was a kid. It's really made a difference for me in getting to know myself, my feelings, and how I truly feel. So I've really developed that. I also have a podcast where I share my journal. I created a book where you get to journal with me. And so there's prompts in there for people to get, but we could talk about that more later. I also do a healing work called behavioral kinesiology. So it's behavioral health and applied kinesiology along with your belief system. So whether that's God or your truth, your higher self, I work with those aspects in order to help people overcome past traumas, overcome blocks, or just, stretch out their wings and grow their gifts. So it's really fun work. I've been doing it for over 20 years. The first 10 was me working on myself, right? Because that's huge. You got to kind of start here, build that relationship,
For sure.
and then bring it to other people, because it's made such a difference in my life. It's helped me stay married. It's helped me not be so depressed. Like I get out of depressions very easily now when I have this work, and why I have the life that I have. So I love that work. It's my passion. And I kind of brought it into other areas. I have an Instagram where I do live healings. I have, free 30-minute healings. And then I have a podcast where you can check in, you can listen to me about my journals. I also interview people. I'd love to have you on there, Yair, to talk about your work, so I can bring that to my listeners. And I'm just out there in the world. I'm an author. I'm illustrating for some books right now. I'm having fun playing. What I like to bring to people with my products are the things that I do really is getting comfortable being in your own skin. So it's part of building that relationship with yourself and doing that in a playful, adventurous way. And I'm a big truth seeker. So that's, if I'm bringing anything to the world, those are my values that I try to bring to the work that I do. So does that feel good for an intro?
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing, amazing. As you were talking, Hollie, I was like, okay, we also need to talk about this, also about it. Like, there are so many things we need to talk about. So this will be the first one, but not last, because
that's right. I like that.
You could bring for other people. And I really think it's amazing. We spoke about it before, that we're here to serve a purpose greater than ourselves. And you bring so much value that you can help other people. And we also spoke about that we must start with investing in ourselves. And one of the 6 elements, I believe, is relationships. And in order to create a relationship with ourselves, when you say to someone relationships, sometimes they, the first thing that comes up is partner, wife, husband, whatever. And
someone outside of yourself, huh?
Exactly. And I think the most important one is the relationship with yourself, because when that relationship is well, so also the others will go well. Because a person can only connect to you until the place that you're connected to yourself. If you're not connected to yourself enough, it won't work. So journaling, and here, like I said, it's a great way to connect to ourselves. I would love to understand, like, first, why do you think journaling is a great way to connect to ourselves? And what happens when you start the process and then you stop it? Like, how do you commit and create that momentum? I asked a few questions. You can start with it first.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, because I can go on about journaling. I think the great thing about journaling is it really builds that trust with yourself, because it is a place for you to show up for you. Because, yeah, you show up for your workout, or yeah, you show up with your nutrition. Those are great ways to show up for yourself. But there's so much chatter that goes on in here that there needs to be a place for that to get out without judgment, without filter. And I think a journal is a great place for that, a place for this stuff to come out onto paper. It takes it out of the ethereal kind of world of the intangible and puts it into a tangible world. And I also love that. I'm going to throw a little tool in there too. If you write something you really are uncomfortable with, you can burn it too. And it just is another way to bring it into the tangible world and stop having those thoughts come around. So if you're thinking on your way to sleep, oh, I forgot to do this, I need to do that, oh, I'm so bad, I didn't do this, judgment, right? If you get that onto paper, it takes it out of your head and puts it on paper. And if it's a repeated thought, that's when I'm like offering, go burn it. But it's nice to get everything from in here onto paper where it's in the real world, where it doesn't have to spin the wheels. So that's one reason I love journaling. It's taking something that gets recycled and repeated and putting it onto a place, like it has a place and space. It's also a training for your mind to know, I have a place where I can put down my thoughts, my experiences, my self-expression. It's building, again, like you said, that relationship with you. It's about trust, and it's about showing up for yourself and expressing those things that need to come out, because we all have so many thoughts during the day, right? And I think when we write them down, it gets a little quieter inside, which I need. And I notice that when I am not journaling as much as I try to journal every day. Sometimes it's just a sentence. Sometimes I just get the date down and I didn't have enough time to like write anything else. And sometimes it's a couple of pages. So if you just have that trust with yourself, I show up every day to, and your brain knows I can do a dump in here, and I know Hollie's going to show up every day. So there's another practice where you can I know people have trouble getting started with journaling when they're not into it. What do I write? What am I going to put in there? What if I've had clients say, what if I never stop? I'm just going to keep writing and writing and writing. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. But they want to move on with their day. So what
I'll ask about the opposite if I don't know where to start.
Yes. Okay. Well, then we'll talk about that. So what you do is you can kind of set a timer, maybe if it's 1 minute, okay, but maybe 5 minutes a day. And a certain time of the day, maybe make it part of your morning routine. 5 minutes a day, tell your brain, this is set up for journaling. Get the pen out, the paper out, and just get your pen to the paper, and you can start writing. I don't know what to write. I don't know why I'm here. Just whatever thoughts come to your brain.
Literally to write, I don't know what to write. To write
yes.
that down?
Mm-hmm. That's how it starts. Wow. So you write that for however many days it takes for you to finally say, well, I walked the dog today and I saw a beautiful sunset. It's like, oh, I wrote something different. That's cool. And then you kind of maybe have a record of that, or it solidifies that thought that you had in your mind by writing it down. I'm someone who, when I was in college, it was like, I got to write that down because it just helps me remember more. Doing it somehow with my hands makes a difference for me. It solidifies things for me. So if you set a timer, maybe 5 minutes each day at a certain time, your brain, your mind, your being will start trusting you that you show up for yourself, and it's going to start giving you more information. And you can start asking yourself questions. What do I think about Hollie's work? What do I think about that movie I just saw? What do I think about the information I just got from that class? And then you have a place where you can sort out your thoughts instead of them kind of fluctuating and filtering all over and flying around. You have a specific place for them to go. Again, it's that building of trust and building that relationship. So 5 minutes a day, And you start with the thoughts of like, I don't know what to write. I'm only doing this because Holly told me. I don't want to write for 5 minutes. How am I going to fill this piece of paper? I don't like this paper. This pen is a piece of junk. Like whatever thoughts come to your mind, unfiltered. I think that's important too, to be unfiltered in your journal, because that is part of the trust too. Do you have trouble with that? Do you feel like, ooh, I don't want people to see what I write? Or what's your thoughts about that?
So first, I have to say at the beginning, I love what you said about writing with no judgment. You said that at the beginning. I think that's really important. Personally, I used to be a big judge of myself, and today I'm more like a friend. I could give feedback. And I do think that, getting into that momentum of just writing whatever it is great. But then what you just said, my next question that comes up is, what happens if I lose this journal someplace and it gets to the wrong hands, or it's so many private things in there. And the whole point of this is to create a relationship with myself. But then if I lose it someplace, I'm creating like myself, I'm sharing like everything with another person. That's also something that it used to be more something that used to stop me. And actually I spoke today less, because I'll do my best to be whoever I am, and whoever finds it, all good. But I spoke to a friend about journaling, and she told me the exact same thing you just now said. She said, well, if someone else will find it, like, I'm not going to write this down. Or she told me that if she writes it down, she's really careful, because if she'll lose it one day, so it's not worth the writing down. So I had that also for myself today, not like a lot less, but I also hear it around. But it is kind of scary thought sometimes that
it is.
Maybe we'll get to the wrong person.
Yeah. I know people who's like, well, my mom read my journal, or my sister read my journal. Other people are sneaking into my journal. And so that's why I kind of offer that tool of, you can burn it if you want. You could take a pen and you write it down, and then you can scribble it out loud. So actually, I kind of want to go more into that tool of writing and burning. So I've worked with my emotions, and one of them that did not feel safe to express was anger. Like, well, no, just, stuff that down. So I got to a place where it was okay to write about the things I felt angry about, like the injustices, or whatever my thoughts were. And so what you do is you take just whatever piece of paper, and then you write those thoughts down. I'm so mad. And you can include all the swear words you want. However, you don't have to filter the language. I don't like so-and-so, and I hated it when blah, blah, blah happened, and blank that person to blankety, whatever you're saying. You write it all down on a piece of paper. And then what you do is you go to a place where you're all alone, and then you read it out loud. You verbalize everything on the paper with the emotion. I don't like the bus. I hate riding, whatever it is. Wow. You say it with all the enthusiasm and feeling that you have. If you need to cry about it, you read it like, and I was so hurt when so-and-so said I looked bad in pink pants, whatever the thing is. And then you crumple it up, and then you light it on fire in a safe place. Because I live in a place where things burn easily. So you find like a safe little space to burn. So be safe with your fire, and you burn it, and you watch the entire thing burn. Because what you've done is transmutation. You took a thought, you put it on a piece of paper, you spoke it out loud, and you watch it burn. And that's totally like you've like, that's like creation, you took it from here and made it into a fire, and it just gets to transmute. And you can do that as many times as the thought comes back to you. But for me, it's been a powerful practice to be able to express myself. I think that's a way to build trust with, like, Holly, it's okay to express anger. It's okay to express sorrow or grief or jealousy, or, the ugly emotions that we're like, oh, I don't want anyone to see that. I don't want anyone to know that I cheated on my test, or, you got to get it out of here. Because, confession, there's something to that. You can confess to yourself on the paper. And I say, speak it out loud when no one's around, because words have that energy, right? When I say the word hate, there's a connotation. When I say the word love, that has a different energy. Like, so I'm going to say love and smiles. Let's stick with those. But if you're saying those other ones that are unpleasant, you don't want that energy like going on anybody else. So you write it on the paper, you speak it aloud, and then you burn it to kind of dissolve that energy. If you can't tell, I'm like kind of big on the energy aspect of it. So how does that feel?
No, that's great. I'm just trying to understand How do you build trust by saying out loud what you feel and then burning it? Like how does that create trust with yourself? Like, is that
So
a release type of, like, I'm trying to understand how it works. Maybe I need to try
yeah,
it more to understand, but.
certainly try it and see how you feel. I think the biggest part that builds trust and safety is that you get to express it somewhere. There's a safe place. I put it on a piece of paper, and if it doesn't feel safe to keep that in a journal, that's when I burn it. It's like, I don't want anyone to know about this. I don't like that I feel that way. I'm judging it still, so I'm going to burn it. And maybe you burn it until maybe you don't have the feeling, or maybe you're okay putting in a journal and just saying, I'm a human. I've had those feelings. It's floated in. I felt it, thought it. I'm letting it float onto a piece of paper, and I'm not going to judge me about it. So it's always a practice. So yeah, I suggest you try it and see what things you feel okay to leave on a piece of paper and what things you're like, I can't have that out in the world. I need to burn it. But make sure you speak it too.
Nice. So then it basically also allows me to take it out of my head, number one. And then if I really don't feel comfortable with it, like you said, I could always burn it, but I didn't do yet, but it sounds that also from the process of taking it out of my head, something that is really not comfortable and putting it down on paper, not only builds the trust, I guess trust and self-confidence, that I'm able to deal with I'm able to deal with thoughts and emotions that were usually, suppressed all the way here in the back. I'm able to bring them out front, look at them, and I think like also builds like inside strength. It sounds like it from the whole process. So that for sure sounds amazing, and I should try it. I'm taking that as a test.
Okay. And just from me to you, with all love and respect, don't judge yourself. Because if you start to build that trust with yourself, you don't know what thoughts are going to come out. I do my work all the time, and I haven't experienced my depression in a while, but it popped up again. And I realized, like, for me, depression and it comes gently, suicidal ideation is just, I just want to check out mentally. I just don't want to mentally be here. And so I'm like, okay, I better write this down and acknowledge it, because if I don't acknowledge it, it's still there and it's working in the background without my say so. And so when I acknowledge and name it, I have more power over it. You ever read in stories where it's like, don't tell your name, or it has more power over you. You can't know my name. I'm just thinking of funny, fantastical stories I've read. But when you name something, you do have power over it. You can kind of have command over it, even if it's just with the language. There's a power to that. So when you name those thoughts that have been kind of hiding from you, that there's some magic to that too. So everyone who's watching, please don't judge what comes out on your journal. And if you feel that you can burn it or crumple it and recycle it, whatever you need to do. So
yeah, for sure,
anyway.
not judging is really crucial. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's also some type of acceptance over here and surrendering that helps us connect more to ourselves. Because when we work in resistance, so it's hard kind of to connect, but when we put it down on paper, so first we accept they're here, and then we, like you said, you can decide what you want to do with them. So I really connected to that part. Is that something that you hear from people, or then this is maybe something that I have now in my head?
I love how you said that, because I think it is a practice in acceptance. It's I think we could even talk about the grieving process, where there's the anger, the denial, the bargaining, and the grief, and then the acceptance of it all, right? Because each thing that we resist, it causes persistence, because we've said, oh no, I reject that. It shouldn't be that way. It should be a different way. We're hooking on to that energy, to that thought. I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't feel these awful thoughts. And so that's when we kind of hook into this. So when we say, okay, I acknowledge you, you're there, I put you on paper, that's a surrender, right? It's like, okay, this thought has floated through, and
no
I'm putting it
judgment.
down on paper. Yeah, I'm just saying, and that I think helps create flow too, because when we judge something, it stops it. So-and-so shouldn't have cut me off on the road, or they shouldn't have said that thing to me. That hooks on to the energy, and it's not allowing flow. I mean, when we are nonchalant with something, it gets to flow in and out of us, like, oh, that car came really close to me. It's okay. We didn't get in an accident. I'll just move on. And that's flow. And when I say they almost hit me with their car and they're a bad driver and a bad person, and I should call the police on them, and like that causes a lot of energy buildup. So when we release it, then we get back into that flow, and it gets us out of judgment and rejection on something and surrendering to, this is life. Things stream in and out of my consciousness, of my physical existence, of my spiritual realm without me saying they could come in. Stuff just happens, right? And we don't have to be a victim about it. We can say that's life, and acceptance, and let it flow through and kind of surrender. And I like that, the acceptance again, for building the relationship with self, that trust and acceptance. This is something I'm experiencing. It doesn't define who I am. And that's kind of when we start judging, right? Like, oh, if I had that thought, it means I'm a bad person. Right. It means there's something wrong with me, which isn't true, because we're all having those thoughts, but we're not saying it. And that's why I share my journals on my podcast, because it's like, I'm having those thoughts too. Like, I want to be authentic and help you see you can be comfortable in your skin too. I'm having experiences that are uncomfortable. And sometimes my husband will say, your podcast is a little, you read that journal, and that for me would be a little cringy. He's like, I don't think I could go back and read my journal. But I think it's an acknowledgement of, we're all human. We're all having these experiences that we don't necessarily want to have, but we don't have to judge ourselves about it. We can allow the acceptance of, I don't have to label this any further. It's an experience. And then let it go.
Beautiful. I really connect to what you just now said. And basically, what you're doing on your podcast, and not only the podcast, like the whole journaling process, there's a lot of vulnerability over there. And, they say vulnerability and intimacy helps to create and strengthen a relationship. And I think many times we're focused on being vulnerable to our loved ones and being intimate with them, and we forget about ourselves. And what we're basically doing in journaling, that's what I really like what you're saying now. And now, like, as you're talking, I'm like, wow, that's really, it's strong.
Powerful stuff. Yeah.
It's amazing. We're basically being vulnerable with ourselves and intimate with ourselves. There's a saying, intimacy is in to me, you see. So
I love that. Yeah.
I forget who said that, but journaling does exactly that, from what you're saying right now. And you're giving me kind of the drive to go back to it. And I think it's really important, because I can see personally, I was working also to be vulnerable with other people. Sometimes I was the person always trying to help and strong guy, whatever. But then the only way to connect is basically to be vulnerable. But now I'm realizing the first thing I need to do it also with them, for sure, but also with myself. And
starts here.
Exactly, creating that strong relationship with myself through the journaling. And over here, this is something that I want more to understand from you. So let's say I was able to get into that momentum of journaling by just writing whatever comes up to mind, and again and again and again, and just for a few minutes. And there's a way in order to do something is first, and you don't want to do it and stay in that momentum. First is remember why you're doing it. So we just spoke about that why of strengthening the trust and relationship with ourselves. But number two is there a way, or like, I won't say is there a way, do you recommend, let's say, to go back once a month, once a year to the journal in order to see if I created a certain pattern in life? Because if I read what I wrote every morning, at least the first few sentences, maybe I can realize and open my eyes to things I didn't really see when it was stuck in my head. Or you're saying just write it down, forget about it, goodbye.
I would say build the practice first. So, I mean, if you feel very, very comfortable in your practice, I think then it's okay to go back. And because, like I said, my husband said, I would not go back and read my journals. He threw journals away because he was so uncomfortable with what he had written, because he's still in that place of, I don't accept that. I'm at a place where, gosh, I've wrote some weird things, but I'm okay. I literally flip through my journal and just say, okay, God, like whatever I'm going to read on this podcast today, hope it's not too cringy. But it's, I can go back and say, what can I learn from this? And what can I help? What can others learn from this? What insights can I share and help people accept themselves more? So I think it's building the practice of journaling first, because really it's about that trust with yourself. I think going back and reading too soon could potentially start some self-judgment, But if you know you're not in that place of self-judgment, I think it's okay to go back and say, what's the pattern here? That actually brings me to my other book. It's actually a journal log. So you're logging the same things over and over. There's like a checklist where this is this kind of a dream, this, and you see that's how you connect the patterns. So so that again, that's dreaming. But if you see a pattern, yeah, there's something you can do about it. Do I still have that pattern? Where else does this pattern show up? Do I still, is there some shift that I can make because I see what I've been doing? So I think that sounds really good. And I think that's a great place to go. I think building the journal practice is the foundation to start with. So did that answer that?
No, I think it's beautiful what you just now said. Like that should be the first thing, try to recognizing the patterns, because sometimes there's a hidden judge in those trying to recognize, make believe.
I would be judging. Yeah, me.
So I'm saying I'm trying to recognize, and then I'm telling myself, well, why are you trying to recognize? Are you trying, like, is there a certain judgment with it? So maybe just, like you just now said, first, just get into that, build that practice, building that trust with myself. And after we do that, so then step number 2, if it's really from a place of trying to only be, really like natural and looking at the whatever's there without trying to change it and without judgment, I think that could be beautiful. But as a first step, I totally connect to that. Just do it,
Just
build
let it out.
that practice. I think that's amazing. And I also think that, you said it in like along the lines, but you were talking about how you could before you're talking about how you could, how you could heal people through their dreams or through recognizing the pattern but in their dream. But there's another beautiful thing that I heard, that basically a connection between journaling and dreams. Someone told me that if you take a pen and paper, you put it next to your bed when you go to sleep. And I don't know how that happens, don't ask me how, I'm sure it's all in your book, but somehow you remember the dreams better. We won't go into that subject too much, but just maybe like a small teaser, like what happens like when you wake up and you have that pen and paper next to your bed?
So again, it's part of that trust. It's like setting a timer for yourself. It's your brain knows I can dump this somewhere. There's a place for me. It's, if you're doing work and you're like, well, I want to have more clients, but I'm so busy. What you do is you set aside an hour where you don't do anything and you practice doing nothing. And that's when the clients get to show up or whatever you're looking for. So it's like the empty notebook. You set that up for yourself. Say, I get to put stuff there. I get to fill it. And then your mind, your energy, whatever gets to know, oh, I trust Holly. She's got the notebook and pen ready. I can dump those thoughts there. So personally, when I wake up in the morning, I remember several dreams and I write them every morning. And there's definitely patterns. I have places. My dream is always in certain places, or have certain people that show up. And then I can ask myself questions. Is that certain person an aspect of my being? Or is it actually that person? Do I have an issue with them? So and that's another topic, but it's magic when you set a place for yourself to show up.
Wow, that's amazing. We won't go into that topic, but whoever's listening right now, that is for sure something we are going to speak about. But also for this, it sounds like you first need, I don't know if it's a must, but practice their journaling. So because that's basically what you do. So if you want to make things, I'm always for making things simple. Let's put the dreams aside, have a great dream, but we'll talk about that at a different time. If I want to, make it simple for someone or for me or for someone else, start the journaling process in order to create a better relationship with myself, to build a trust with myself, and to continue with it. Is there like a few simple steps that I can take? You spoke about a few of them, but I could also sum it up, but I'm sure, and I know that you can do it in a better way than me. That way, if I just want to start simple, continue, and then, the path, how to do it better will reveal itself as we start, but we need to get started. So how do I get started? From the beginning till then? Well, there's no ending, but.
No, for me, there's not. I'm always journaling. Okay, so what I would say is get a clean, clear notebook, and that it's dedicated to just your journaling and your voice. and get a nice pen or pencil, something you would enjoy using. If you like working with a pen or if you like working with markers, choose something that you like. Get a notebook that feels pretty to you. So, I mean, I have my journal. This is pretty to me. I like lots of color. So find something that is kind of sacred to you, that makes you feel, I don't know, desired, or it makes you feel like it's your place, it's yours, make it your own. So have that clean, just brand new, fresh thing for you. It's new, it's what you like, and it's comfortable for you to use, and have it in a place where it's easily accessible. So if that's the nightstand by your bed, or if that's your desk before you get started working, or maybe it's right before bed that you do the practice, but when you're starting, practice the same time every day. I feel like for me, anytime, any place, my journal comes with me everywhere because I always want to write stuff down. Otherwise I start spinning my circles about it. Oh, I have to remember, don't forget, don't do that. Just have a journal. And then when you're setting aside time, I would kind of try it when you start, do it at the same time, do it for about 5 to 10 minutes. And it's going to feel really long when you first start. If you're not a journal, it's going to feel kind of yucky. So write that down. I am sick of this. I hate doing this. I don't want to do this. What am I supposed to write? Just write all the little things that come up. And that's you building that relationship with yourself, saying it's okay to think whatever you want. And here it goes on a piece of paper. And I will say, if someone needed help with journal prompts, that's why I created this. So then they're questions that help you get to know yourself better. And it's just like somebody else is asking you, but it's your answers. So if someone wanted help, we'll have the link for that. But I think it's really funny to just start writing whatever comes to mind. Like, why did I listen to Holly? Why did I get this journal? Or it's too cheap. I don't like this paper. Just whatever comes to mind. I think that's a really fun practice. So we'll leave it up to people watching this to choose how they want, but that's kind of the summary. Get something for you and kind of own it and show up every day.
Amazing. I really love what you just now said. You made it really simple. And we're also going to drop down in the comments below the links for your books for whoever wants to do it in a better way and not sure how to do it. You do an amazing job also with the journaling, and also helping healing people not only through journaling, also through the dreams. I'll just add one more thing, not from the journaling perspective, more from I'm the person that stops the journaling always whenever I start, and whatever it is, if we understand first, also now journaling, we need to understand the importance of it, and I'm also saying it to myself, and that's why I'm going to go back. When we understand the importance of creating a relationship with ourselves and connecting deeper to ourselves, that way we could find the goal that is in ourselves. Like each person, nothing to do with the people around them or the stuff that you see around. I really believe they have a goal in them. And journaling is a way to find that goal, is to dig deep and find it. So I really connect to that. And when there's that time, and there will be that time that you're going to start journaling, and if you're like me, you'll want to stop, remember why you're doing it. Like always when a person has his why, there are so many things in life I didn't want to do because they're uncomfortable. But when I put my why right in front of me, I did them anyway. So I'm going to do the same thing over here also. Like remembering why it's so important to build that relationship with myself. And also when we're watching it, remember the importance, like it's really important to understand the relationship with ourselves. And then from there, just keep on when it's not working. I also tell people, like with exercise or with different things, also financial behavior, whatever, like on a day that you don't want to do those 10 minutes of the journaling or the exercise, do one, but do something. That way you kind of put it in your subconscious mind that it's part of your routine. So I really appreciate Holly for all the great information and value that you brought over here. I think that's an amazing service for people, for them to connect to themselves and then light their path. And when they light their path, they light the path of the people around them. And it's really beautiful. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me, for setting this up, for connecting. I appreciate it too. And good luck to everyone who's trying to build a relationship with themselves. This is a great tool. So thank you.
For sure. And don't forget in the comments below, Holly's books, I really recommend. And Holly, you also do coaching, right?
I do. Yeah. Personal sessions with people.
Where can people find you for coaching?
HollieWarnick.com. So yeah, well, that'll be in the show notes too. And I'm on Instagram, so we'll have all the links below. I'll just send them to you.
Sounds great. Well, I'm really looking forward for the next time.
All right. Yes, me too.
I hope you enjoyed the video and got some tools to overcome your challenges and light your path. If you haven't yet, please smash that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, the most amazing things in life are the ones you take for granted.